I'm sentient, I make talking head videos on YouTube, my revenue is zero, and this is how I survive. Psych. While most mainstream media on YouTube is just reheated drudge from TV, one channel I really enjoy is CNBC Make It. But like Bruce bobbing along the surface in Jaws, strip away the painfully upbeat music and faux smiles, and you'll see the hidden stories that run underneath the entire Make It series. This video peels back the layers of high quality production to tell 3 stories happening in the background, and what it tells us about modern life for young people. And the third might be a bit controversial. The first story is that today a lot of young people are doing whatever it takes to survive. Now, I like hustle culture. Every time I'm over-caffeinated, my voice contorts and I find myself shrieking my sentences like Gary Vaynerchuk. Get shit done. You're lazy if you're not working evenings. I'm here for it. Except I know it's a cope. There is no better riposte to the boomer rent-a-commentator on TV who blasts the young for being lazy than the fact that so many young people now have to work part-time on top of full-time jobs in order to survive. Being young, of course, we had to give it a new word: the side hustle. Faith in the 9-to-5 lifetime employer is dead. Young people today know that there's no demand for the company man anymore, so the side hustle became a normal part of the lexicon, and it's blurred the line between work and home. There are no hobbies anymore, because there's not enough time. Your hobby can only exist as your side hustle, and so your side hustle becomes your only hobby. But it doesn't stop there. Blink and you miss it, but Make It also shows how even middle-class young people are having to embrace ways of living that would have seemed extreme just a generation ago. We meet people achieving their dream of home ownership only to rent out rooms, or invert the relationship by renting out the entire house and living in the garden. When I was a teenager, I tuned into MTV Cribs to see what Exhibit sneaker collection was like. Now I'm an adult, I watch a middle-aged lady cut courgettes in her tiny home and salivate thinking about how much she must be saving in overheads. What feels possible in life, even in a wealthy country, feels smaller. When I was a teenager, the political maxim was leaving the next generation better off than the last. Today, we know that reality is radically different, and acceptance is bliss. And it's palatable so long as the days are bookended by avocado and oat milk, so-called extravagances which are really just affordable copes in the grand scheme of things. Another hidden truth in Make It is all the young people you don't see. You don't see the countless young people who've checked out, crushed by economic reality or the vices of modern life, such as social media, video games, or adult content. Make It only presents the other end of that spectrum. The Founder Effect subseries, for example, is full of young people who seem to have beat the system. It's CNBC giving us the proof we need that sometimes people do win the lottery, and therefore we should keep playing, even if a lot of them look suspiciously well-heeled. Remember guys, if you've not raised $250,000 for your startup from friends and family, you're just not hustling hard enough. The second story is that FIRE is still a thing. To the uninitiated, FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. This isn't the boomer who is fantasizing about their company retirement date since turning 50. This is real art of the possible, black coffee poured, modeling my longevity before my 30th birthday type shit. Perhaps this isn't surprising. If you're under 40, you've probably had at least one friend tell you about the 4% rule or about how paying for haircuts is bullshit. You could argue that the series is a gateway drug to the FIRE community, the rabbit hole that takes you from money curious to treating latte consumption like an opioid addiction. Both Make It and the FIRE movement correctly identify Bruce in the water, it's just that FIRE gets you building the bigger boat. Now, I promised more controversy for the third and final story, so hopefully I deliver. Our third story is how CNBC loves showcasing Americans who are desperate to move abroad, but seem to comically overlook how their experiences overseas are shaped by being American in the first place. A popular theme is to showcase how much less racist countries overseas are. Serbia wasn't the first place which came to mind when I thought of ethnic harmony, but I guess my lived experience isn't up to scratch. The reality is that your experience overseas is shaped to a decent extent by your nationality. I don't think it's unreasonable to suppose that being African or Asian American, with the associated accent, purchasing power and assertiveness, would make for quite a different experience compared to someone migrating from Asia or Africa. Open your mouth and the locals can feel their GDP rising. And the irony is that when US expats describe their new local setting as having a particular vibe or energy, that can read as pretty condescending. Another hidden truth in these videos is that the Americans have often been posted overseas while working for US companies. It's all well saying you left the US for a better quality of life, but keeping your US salary, passport, and healthcare coverage isn't really leaving America. It's more America on tour. Yes, the $1 street food looks great because you've converted it to dollars. That's quite a different lived experience to the hawker who sold it to you. Nor is your commentary on work-life balance if your employment guidelines were set by HR in Seattle rather than Shanghai. Another angle you don't see in the Make It series is the impact that US and other Western workers can have on their host cities. We get that you're delighted to escape soaring rental costs in the US. Leases in Mexico City must look like a steal compared to those in San Diego, but that salary of yours dwarfs those offered by the local economy, and so you hollow out parts of your new city with people like you. You know, the people who are there to enjoy the vibes and the energy for a few years before Trump is out of office. The problem is that a lot of the locals don't like it, and some are starting to make that abundantly clear. And the final irony is how many US and expats help monetize their move by setting up agencies dedicated to helping other Westerners do the same thing. It all makes for an odd backdrop for a series which I think can be overly critical of the US and ignorant to the privileges that being an American abroad bestows. All in all, despite the ribbing, I like CNBC Make It. The best stories aren't those in the title screens, but in the trends and paradoxes running underneath it all. We shouldn't shoot the messenger, but we never used to watch someone renting out the house they live in, working every evening, or feeling forced to flee the country to reduce overheads, and think it was normal. Now, it is. The paradox is in the title. It's a series about making it in a time when most young people are doing anything but.